Today I want to talk about a couple of key learning points from the Tsitsipas Coric match and also Mladenovic's match. Now, the first thing, which I don't think I've ever talked about in the couple of years that I've been doing this, and that is the challenge of having really big leads. So these are leads when we become super confident that we are going to win, and then we're not really nervous at this point that we could possibly lose. So I think in both of these matches, these two players got to this point. They were both up 5-1 in 5-1 lead, one game from winning. And there's two real things that can stop us from competing well at these times when we have a massive lead and we're not nervous. The first thing is we can lose concentration. So this is when our mind wanders onto things not to do with the task, not to do with the match. So we just start thinking about stuff not to do with the match, and then that becomes a barrier because we're not committing to the helpful processes in that time. But the second thing is a bit of a weird one, and this is when at that point we become really, really confident that we're going to win. Now, confidence is simply the unintentional predictions that our mind makes about the possibility of success, and it's based on the situation and our history within similar situations. So what I think was likely happening there was that both these players at that point became incredibly confident. Their mind started predicting that they were about to win based on the situation and their history in similar situations. And at that point, the challenge is not a loss of concentration, but it can also be that they start having these thoughts like, I'm about to win. And in that moment, they get caught up in those thoughts about the task that's happening. And that is the thing that stops them from actually committing to the helpful process in that moment. So it's a really important learning point. It's actually when confidence becomes the barrier or the obstacle to competing successfully. Really unique situation. A couple of other important learning points from these matches. What Coric and Mladenovic's opponent was able to do really well was hang in there, right? And so when we are way down, the more that we're able to connect with the idea that this is the time that people or our opponent will most likely lose concentration or get caught up in being really confident that they're about to win, the better chance we are to get the match back close enough to when our opponent will start then feeling pressure about the possibility of losing again. So if we're down 5-1, say in a final set, if we can get it back to 5-2, 5-3, it's likely then our opponent will face new challenges, and that is they'll start to have predictions of possibly losing from a winning position, which is very, very challenging to deal with. So that's what the opponents in these cases did an amazing job of. And then the third point here is that when we mess up a lead, so if we've messed up a big lead, the huge challenge there is then the judgments we have, the unintentional judgments about messing up that lead and what it means and the embarrassment and all that sort of stuff that tends to start coming up. And so what Tsitsipas did actually a great job of was recovering and then getting back and competing pretty effectively for large parts of the fifth set. He actually got up a break again. So he was able to get back to that place of committing and giving himself another chance to win the match, which was a great job, even though he didn't win in the end. Compare this to Mladenovic. She didn't do this. She obviously, when she started losing the lead, she got caught up in the judgment. She probably started having predictions that she was going to lose from this really winning position. I listened to her interview. She had some excuses there ready to go in terms of how bad the conditions were and so forth. And in this case, she didn't get back to that place of committing. So how well we can respond to messing up a lead is also another key skill. So just in these two matches, there's three really, really important learning points that we want to be aware of, understand, and try to develop our skilling. I hope you find this helpful.